Hello everyone, I hope you're doing well. So, today in this training, I'm going to show you how you can create a web application without any IT knowledge or development skills. That's why we're going to use a tool called Bolt, which is powered by artificial intelligence. It's the one that will write all the code for me. But for it to work, we obviously need to use DeepSeek. This DeepSeek will allow me to create the different features, and above all, it will help me create the specifications document. The topic we're going to work with is an application that today is worth $12 million created by a 17-year-old. I'm also going to leave you the official video of that person in the description. Today his application makes $1.12 million a month. Believe me, it's a really great application. We're going to take a look at this application, clone it, develop it, and add more features. The goal is that I'm going to show you how to set up your prompt, which I'll give you ready for you to simply use it like this. And I'm going to help you even create your database and launch your website and your mobile app or iOS app. And this will simply give you a result where you can even market your product and get your first customers. I'm going to guide you step by step. Watch this video closely, and I wish you a good viewing experience. Alright, so to create a mobile application, we need several elements. So first of all, we need to understand how it runs and how it works. This mobile application, and then we need to know if we're going to create this mobile application. Do we have simply an audience or a community that will use it? And generally, it should have an application that addresses a need, a problem. And today, to create an application, you don't have to learn to code or be a developer or hire a development company. We can do it ourselves thanks to artificial intelligence. And the simplest method to create a mobile application is to look at the databases of mobile applications and detect mobile applications that generate good revenue and try to solve a problem. If we can find similar applications or reference applications, then we see how many times they are downloaded, customer reviews, and whether the application solves a problem. Well, listen, that's the right application to develop. And for that, I'm going to show you a website. Here, we're going to find the database of all the applications that are known today on the internet with information and statistics that will help us make a decision. So, go to the Adapty website. So this is our website, adapty.io, and there you will see that there is the possibility of putting a keyword here or simply sorting the applications by income, by popularity, or by publication date to see the very latest ones. Mobile applications. And you'll see for each application you can simply see how much revenue it generates, what benefits that application brings to its owner. For example, it tells me that it's less than $1,000. These are the very latest applications, so that's without any news, totally normal. But for me, what I do is I try to go into the categories and I start browsing through the categories. For example, if I take lifestyle, I look at which are the most well-known applications, which applications can inspire me. And if I like, for example, an application, I can click to see the details of that application. And of course, I can go ahead and test this application directly on the Apple Store or on Android to see a little bit what it looks like, how it works, and how well the owner created it. And how is that the owner created it? So for me, for today, I've already done some research and I just wanted to specify that I want to search an application that has everything to do with sports and health. And now I'm just going to type in a word, calorie tracker. So when I hit enter, the system will simply bring me the applications that exist here that are in that field. But be careful. When you're doing your search, try not to search only in one in a specific system. You just had to start a general search to be able to look through all the categories. For example, if I type in calorie tracker, it gives me an app 2, 3, 4, and for each application, it tells me how much it brings in, how much it makes. That one is 600,000. That one is 500,000, 500,000, and 40,000. And so, as a result, these applications, as you notice, these, for example, use a lot of artificial intelligence. And that's very interesting for me. So I might lean towards that application. So we're going to open it in a new window like this for a bit, browse the website of that application, and even check out the app. From what I see here, it's ranked 6th in the health and fitness category on the App Store. So that's huge. So it now has only 4,400 reviews with a rating of 4.8. And so I think this is an app that's worth it. The idea, in fact, is to limit it a bit and create an app that looks like that. I can also add you another website called Payway Screens. That one allows you to do the same thing, to write the name of your domain here. And it's the same thing. So this one, it's another database. It's rich too, as you can detect several pieces of information. I looked into everything related to calories. I also detected that there's another application making $900,000 a month in profit. And there's another one that's much less, which is at $20,000 per month. So that's another application. As you can see there, it scans and actually gives you the calories for each meal. You can, of course, go look for the part website. So the website Flipper, it's a site, it's flipper.com, that lets you see how much people are selling their websites for, especially e-commerce. So if I do the same thing, I'm looking, for example, by type of the technology used in building websites, as I can generally search. For example, here I tell it calorie tracker. So it's going to look a bit for the applications that can, or the websites especially. And you'll see these are sites that sell for way, way too much. That one, well, it's confidential, it's not listed, but still it's at $3 million. That one too, it's almost $1 million. And I can even go see, in fact, that there are sites that are, that one, it displays its website. It's being sold or offered. They're asking for $260,000 to buy or resell their website. So suddenly, honestly, these are sites, and it's a field, let's say, that can be very, very interesting. And that's why we're going to look a little bit at an application to see how, thanks to AI, I can create the same application very quickly in a few hours. And this application, I can simply put it on the market and also start to compete with these applications by implementing a good marketing plan that will also help me to succeed in welcoming a few customers who will subscribe, who will buy, who will be in my community to consume this application. So once we have the name of the application and the website of that competitor, what do we need to do? We need to create a key charge so that we can simply send it to our tool, Keybolt, which is a tool that works with key charge. I'm adding my prompt here where there is information about the application, and this system is going to create it. So if I'm going to directly create my system here, it's going to cause a problem. Why? Because Bolt isn't very strong in the first prompt. That is to say, if I don't give him all the details from the start, I will end up with an application that is very lacking in features which will not immediately meet my needs. But if I want to create an application from the very beginning with a solid foundation, I really needed to send a complete key charge here. So you should know that in the past I created a GPT here. It's called promptbolt.new, and it was created with ChatGPT. This is already a well-known GPT, and it has been downloaded by over 1,000 people. This one, when I come to this prompt, I just need to give it the idea for my application, and it will create it for me, the key charge. But of course, with opening or launching DeepSeek, I did a lot of research. I found that DeepSeek is much more effective in creating prompts for Bolt. And that's why we're going to use DeepSeek to create our key charge. And here, you have to be very careful before copying and pasting your print here. It is very important to activate the R1 option. Here, he will do the thinking mode. It is a mode where he will do a lot of reasoning, where he will give me very good results. And above all, you need to activate the search option, because thanks to that option, the system or Deep will go look for the competitor's site and understand the mechanism and functioning of your application. So we'll need these two features. So now what is the prompt? What am I going to put here? Am I just going to write it down? Listen, I want a key charge for this application and I just give the name. That's not enough. So that's why I created a prompt for you here. specifically designed for Bolt. Of course, it's a prompt that we've worked on to create several types of applications. And finally, we have the ideal prompt. So here's this plan. It will obviously be in the description. You can click here to visit this link. It's a link shared with Notion. I'll leave the link in the description so you can copy and paste it. On the other hand, I'm going to show you a little bit. The details of this plan are to better understand what it contains and what you need to change. So here is our prompt right here. Of course, I assign it a role and tell it that you are a prompt expert. Engineering, which means you're going to try to write me the best prompt so that I can send it to Bolt. So I've specified Bolt, don't worry. It has the ability to access the Bolt site to understand the mechanism of this application. So I'm going to ask it that the prompt I'm going to send to Bolt must having this information. So everything that is the objective, the back office, the front office, and especially the technologies used. So this is the part that you need to change. You need to change this part. Idea. So the idea is I simply tell it what the application does and the competitor site that it will draw inspiration from. Next, I'm going to show it a little bit about how it works. The application, how it works. So 1, 2, 3, I'm actually giving the steps. Then for it needs to prepare a prompt that first includes the name of the application. And then I tell it, DeepSeek, suggest a name for this application. The objectives, in fact, are mainly related to the end user. So the back office will actually put this format of bullet points. What information is there about this back office? What information is there about the menu? What information is there about the front office? And especially what technologies should Bolt use? And there I obviously tell it to keep going until it finishes. The specifications. And that too, it's a comment he also sent for Bolt. For Bolt, when developing, it actually needs to keep developing and make sure that everything is clickable and all the buttons work. This means that Bolt, when setting up the program, needs to make sure that everything works. And of course, I tell it that it just needs to send me back. In fact, the print, I don't want you to write anything else but the print. And there, it's a little remark that we've tested a lot. It's that DeepSeek, sometimes if you don't say it, that you need just the print, the specification. Sometimes it starts to develop. So he tends to showcase his development skills. And so you need to tell him, I don't want you to develop. Stop. I don't want you to do the development for me. So this is my prompt that in general just needed to be copied and simply sent here to our DeepSeek tool in order to execute it and get a detailed specification. So here we are. I'm just going to select my prompt. So that's the prompt, and I'm just going to go to DeepSeek. And now we're going to paste our prompt, attention. It was really necessary for the R1 to be active and also the search part so that it could access the website. And now I'm starting. You're going to see that there, Bolt. Of course, he's going to go into the thinking part, so he's going to show me exactly how he's going to do it, all the details, how he's thinking, how he's going to solve that problem. And in a few minutes, I'm going to see the result from DeepSeek. So there, it's showing me the information regarding my application, the plain part. In the objective part, we're obviously going to see the back office of France. So really, he details all the details, all the information, and that's really very, very, very interesting. And here is the historical part. User profile section, administration section, the menu. So the same menu part. He's giving me all the details now about front office 1. There you go. I find all the information regarding data. So the technology part, what he will need to develop and set up on the bots. There you go. The system is ready. This is my print. All that's left to do is to copy and paste the print onto Bolt and execute it. And here we go. So now on Bolt, we're going to copy and paste our system, our result. So now I'm actually launching my print on Bolt. So Bolt, what he's going to do is he's going to start by showing me what we call the console. So that's the part, console, the part about seeing the progress. Every time he makes a realization, I can see it here, that he's in the process of installing, and where if there's an error, I'm going to find a little button here to fix the error. So it's not up to us to get involved in the development, but rather to click here on fix error, or if we need to. In fact, to specify a task or a function that Bolt needs to reprogram, you just need to write it here. So it takes a few moments. You'll see that he's really writing the code now, and that's what makes it strong. Right now it's deploying, as you can see here. It's like a terminal actually, where it installs the different packages. I see that he is, for example, there. If there are any errors, he will try to fix them. If it can't fix them, it will send me a message here. So we're going to wait until it finishes. So look here. These are the different pages that he has developed. He created the dashboard, the login page, there, the index, and there I see that he has done everything necessary. And you'll see that right now, for example, it's showing me an error, and that's completely normal. So in terms of programming, it's like a human. When he's developing, he encounters errors and has display issues. So this kind of error, there are actually several solutions to debug these errors. Here, the simplest thing is to click here, so I can click to see the errors. It's at the terminal level, so at the compilation level. Because in terms of the results he has produced, he showed me that he has developed these people, the project, the components he has set up, the features and everything. And the same data, what is it? What needs to be implemented next? So he's giving me details about that. But for the deployment, because when I click on preview, I can't see the display. So I'm just going to ask him right here to fix it and see if he can solve the problem. So you just need to click there and let him work. So now he's fixing it. So he's in the process of fixing it, recompiling. So we really need to give him time until he resolves the issue. If the message appears a second time, like here, we let him finish. Then we're going to click on fix, but you shouldn't click on fix right away. So he is in the process of creating. Let him finish until the end before clicking on fix. So there he is, bringing out all the hours he has met. So these are terminal errors, so probably in the installations of some packages, since there are a lot of features. So there you go, we let it finish. So as long as it has finished here, so it tries to debug. So now he's trying to display the application. So we're going to click one more time on obtain fix, so he can fix the errors. He'll be running for a while to get the results. So there you go, he's fixing it. He has already fixed some errors, and I can see that the display is starting to show up, but I need to wait until the end to be sure that there are no errors. Here, he showed me an interface, and we're going to try to explore this interface together. Let's go. So now we're going to test our application. If I click on track food, it actually asks me to log in. If I click here to see the stories, the same thing will happen. It will ask me to log in to simply access the application. And the same thing here, I think, for the progress. It asks me to log in. So if I click here to log in, I will ask to create an account. Let's do a little test like that. Just to be able to create an account, you'll see that normally it will ask me to create a database to store the information so I can test it effectively. So right now, it can't actually save. If I click here to see, you'll see that it asks me to log in. Hey Abyss, that means connecting to a database. Here, he's suggesting Superbase, but we can simply go on Google and host a database on Firebase. This is a Google product that allows me to simply use a database either for mobile applications or web applications. And to keep it very simple, you click here and you'll find yourself on this interface. It's an interface that Google offers and you have free access. You just need to have a Gmail account. And you can connect a ton of applications, extensions, and tools to that database. So now you just need to click on Go to Console. Here, when I click, I'll find myself on this interface. Of course, you need to be logged in with a Gmail account. What I'm going to do is ask him to take our first step to create a database project. So now he's asking me for the project name. What are we going to call it? Calorie. Like this for our application, because each project, in fact, it can have one or more databases. So now we're going to call it like that. Calories trackers. Everything is stuck. So I need to accept the information. And since I'm using a free version, so I'm confirming that I'm only using Firebase for my business activities, not for companies, my creations, or my profession. So I'm confirming that there's the option to add Google Analytics if I want to. Well, we don't need it for now. So I'm clicking to create my project. You'll see that it's currently creating my database. It just takes a few seconds. So I'm actually waiting for this step to be finalized. I just received an email, there you go, for the creation of the database. So now I'm just going to click on continue, and there you go. Now I'm accessing what's called my dashboard. I am perfectly in my application. So when I'm in the application, look, it asks me, do you want to connect it? What type of application is it? It's an iOS, an Android, or a web application system. What I'm interested in is this one, web application. And now I'm giving the name of my application. So I can just give it calorie. There you go. We're going to call it calorie. Now it's asking me if I want to host it too. Not for now. So we're just going to call it calorie. That's the app's username. So now it's in the process of creating the installation. And this actually is the code that I'm interested in. I'm going to copy it because this one, we're going to put it on Bolt. And this is going to help me create my database. So now I'm clicking to access the consoles. And when we create a database, we need space, hosting the database information. So now I'm going to go here to where it says create run analytics. So here we're going to click on create. We're going to click on Firebase database. You'll see that here where we're actually going to specify the space where we're going to create our database. So now I'm clicking to create a database. It's going to ask me for the location of the database. For the database, we're going to set it in Europe, and then we'll click on next. It's going to ask me if I want to go directly into production mode or test mode. I would choose test because after 30 days, the information will become obsolete of the database. Since I haven't hosted the application yet, that's fine with me. I would just put the word test since I'm only going to be testing. The application for the goal is right there. Physically, the database has just been created. So now I have all the information and I'm just going to let it finish. I'm going to go to Bolt, and there on Bolt, I'm going to tell it create my database. And I give, if you want, the name of my database. So here it is, Firebase. And now I'm coming and I'm actually giving it the information. So the information, as you can see here, if you ever lose the information, you can simply come back here, click on settings, and you'll go to project settings. Instead, we're going to go to the overview. Once I'm in the overview, I click on my application. And there, you just need to click here on the configuration. And there, I scroll down a bit more, and here's the code in case you haven't copied it. So I need to have this code. You just had to press enter to run this code so that it can start preparing your database, so that all the information we're going to put here will still be saved. So there you go, it's integrating Firebase. So we're going to let it sit for a moment while it finishes. The complete installation of the database, it creates the dependencies. That's completely normal. So we're going to let it be. So sometimes it might take a little longer. So I think it's finished now. So far, so good. He is in the process of deploying my application. So you need to give it a little time to finish actually the deployment process so that I can just see the preview. Don't click right away to anticipate. Let it actually finish all the way. There you go. So there it is. It's swinging over to preview, and so there you go. My task is actually to test the different features that are on preview to validate them or not. Actually, if it did the job well, if the different features are working correctly or not, then there's some very important information before testing here. I go back to Authentication, and in Authentication, I need to set the sign-in method. So here, when I click on sign-in method, you'll see that I just need to select what is the sign-in method for my application. I think that happens to you often. When I log into a tool, I can ask it to sign in with Google. Others, I can ask it to allow the user to sign in with Microsoft, with Facebook. And there's also the email, and here, the phone so that it can receive a text message. So for me, the one that interests me is this one. It's the email. So I select that one. Once it's selected, you'll see that now it turns green. And he tells me it's like I can just log in with the email. So if I go back to Bolt, you'll see here, I clicked on deploy here. There you go. When I click on deploy, it will simply give me a little link so that I can test. Actually, the real-time application. So now I open this link. So if it's a remote link where I have my application, then I log in. I don't have an account. We're going to create an account. So here, creating your account, I'm going to give it an email address. Come on, let's just call it that. To test, testatest.com. I would put in a password. Watch, if I put in a short password, you'll see what it tells me. Be careful. You need to have a more interesting password. And so I put in a slightly longer password. And there you go. So here, I can save it if I want. I'm on my back office. So here I have the interface of my back office. And here I have my menu. There's the dashboard. There's the food track. There are the theories. The progress is there. That's where it starts. The game, meaning I can actually start testing to see the different features. I can start with the one that interests me. Either I start with the settings part or I start with the part, well, I think the most important part is the food track. That's the part that interests me the most. So I'm going to start working on this interface so that my application will do the functions for me one by one so I can develop it better. So here, what interests me is in this part, I want to add the option to upload an image. I've added an image here from my computer. If you see, when I click here, it will display it when you see it there. So my Webby CIM, I can take the photo, I can analyze it here. If I click on analyze, I can simply take the photo again if I want to just take the photo again. And for me, what interests me is that here, I want to add the option. So what I'm going to do is very simple. I'm going to take a screenshot of this part and get back to Bolt. And now I'm going to ask him to add that option in this section. And I'm attaching, as you can see here, the screenshot and everything that needs to be done. It's just a matter of clicking here to launch this request. Once that's been executed, are you going to see that there? He added, in fact, the page in question, the function, what needs to be done. Of course, I'm just going to ask him to deploy that so that I can test it. So now it's just going to create it. So a hosted link so that I can simply click and test it in real time to actually see how the application is going to run. So here's my link. I click on the link and I go to the application. I click on track food and there you go. I have the option to add my photo here from my computer. So all that's left now is to test this option. Now it's going to show me my computer, so I'm going to choose a photo. I'll take a burger. So here I'm selecting this image. You see, I have this option called Analyze. So when I click on Analyze, we'll see what it does, whether it analyzes it or not, whether it shows a message outside. If you noticed, it doesn't give any results. So what I'm going to do is simply select it here. There you go. And I'm going to try to send it here on Bolt. So I took a screenshot. We can say that here, in fact, we're going to ask it to develop the analysis function that we need. In fact, it's connecting with the ChatGPT API so that it can simply give me results. And that's why I actually need to create my ChatGPT API. So now head over to the ChatGPT site on the OpenAI platform, and you'll see that there's the option API keys. So now we're going to create our key. Creating keys is very simple. I will just create here an API just for testing, so it will be deleted right after the training. So there we will simply call it calorie, like that we will remember, and we will create this key. So this will be a key that will simply allow my system to connect and work to request the artificial intelligence to process that. So there's a question here, why am I not using the key DeepSeek? Since sometimes, or even today at the time of filming this video, DeepSeek, in fact, it has kind of stopped. The function of the API means that it won't give the API key to everyone, since there are attacks happening on DeepSeek. If I go here to the DeepSeek site, you will see when I go to the platform, you will see that there, in fact, the use, in fact, of the API, as you can see here, there's no option to add any background here. So there she is, Desired Beast. That means it's temporarily stopped, and generally because it's facing a lot of attacks. So that's why we decided to work on the 2.2 ChatGPT stack, which is why we created our support here. And here's my print, so it holds up print. Actually, I'm going to ask it to analyze, so to work on the function analyze. And I'm asking it to work with ChatGPT. So here's all the information to calculate the calories, proteins, and all the details. Regarding the photo I'm going to send, I'm going to ask it to work with GPT-03 Mini because it's not very expensive and it's very efficient. So there's the Mini and there's the High, but I prefer the Mini one actually because it's very fast. And now I'm actually giving it my key. So KPI from ChatGPT, it's a key here, just temporary for the video. So there, it has all the necessary information. And it is very interesting to add it here too. The screenshot of that button. So it will understand it, it will detect it, and it will know exactly where it is. And there I clicked on start. So now it's going to work. This key, it will define it as a global variable. So it's going to put it in a file. Of course, later on I can ask it to protect that file and encrypt it so that it's not accessible. There you go. Because that key, if someone else takes it, they can use it, consume it because it's built based on usage. And of course, I can develop it further to improve it even more. So right now it's working on the code, updating those functions for image processing. And above all, it's going to send the information to ChatGPT so that the ChatGPT API processes the data and gives me the result. So normally after this work, I need to test the function to see the display and the way it's going to return the data, if it's clear and well done. And I can accept everything. Otherwise, I can ask them to improve the display and processing of that data. So now we're going to test our model. So we'll see if the ChatGPT that we've connected is working well or not. So now I'm going to upload a photo. I'm going to ask it to analyze it. And it tells me that's completely normal. It tells me that the GPT-4 vision has actually been stopped. Because every time I buy a GPT, it gets updates. And the GPT-4 is in the process of finalizing it. By default, Bolt used that function. But I think it's better to use the 4.0 or the 03. So actually I asked for the 03, but we need to visit that page. So let's try to visit this page. So on this page, it's going to tell us exactly what it replaces the old versions with. And there you go. It tells me that this version, and he actually recommends that we use this one because there are dates. In fact, that's where they're going to be finished. In fact, there is the discontinuation of these models. So to be safe, we're going to take this model. We'll come back here, or rather, we'll copy the error message. Watch out. Here, I'm going to tell him I have breasts. And here, we actually give the bug, and I tell him here in the country, yes. And here, I would simply put our new one. So just this stage, which is this one. And it will also be good to add a notch print, in fact, of what we have, the error. In fact, we encountered that one, and you'll see that it's going to replace the model used with the new model. So I'll let it finish, and then I'll simply do the deployment to retest the function. So I'll leave you the error messages so that I can explain to you that there is no functionality. In fact, it happens without error messages, which is completely normal. That's the nature of development. That's how it goes. So for that, we really needed to test a lot, report the errors if we have any, and try to perfectly describe the new prompt or the new question for Bolt so that it can fix and give you a functional application. So now we're going to test. So here we're going to try to upload an image. So I'm taking this image, I'm starting the analysis. So let's see if he's going to do well calling ChatGPT. It should be able to detect all the ingredients here. And the verdict is, here is the result. And I think it's a very good result. So he really tells me that there are 800 calories here. So up until now, the function works very well. And what needs to be done is, of course, to develop the other functions so that the application is at 100%. Functional. So this is a very important part. It's the history. So, of course, for each function, you need to take it. You need to explain exactly what you need so that it can simply add them here. So if I take a day, for example, that's very important. In fact, it's going to add the information that I've scanned throughout the day and accumulate it here. So that's very, very important. So if I'm going to go to Bolt here, I need to tell it. So for example, it's adding the analyses to the history, to the calendar, and it's going to accumulate them. I can also take a quick screenshot here just from this section. There we go. I can take a screenshot like this and add it here. So with the system. Now, we're just going to get this big printout. And I can submit my request. Now I'm going to let them process. Then I'm going to deploy to see if I come here a second time and upload here. A photo, can it be added here so that it's stored? Now we're going to test our system. We're going to try to add it. There you go. And I'm going to click on Analyze. So he's doing the analysis and he's actually giving me the result. And there you go. Look, he just gave it to me. In fact, the possibility of recording it, and that's very interesting. And it's just him. He detected that we can do it for breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snack. And if it's really lunch, I'll put lunch and then I'll save it. So here you have to be very careful. If I save it, in fact, it will also save the image. But to save the image, I needed to have a database in my database, actually. That's where I'm just going to store the images because image storage happens in a different place, different from storage data. So if I go here in Firebase, you'll see that there's an option called storage, but for that option to be activated, I need to choose a plan. So when I click, you'll see that I'm currently using the free plan. If I want to do it, I need to select a plan based on these plans. And when I select a plan, it's just that he's going to give me several storage spaces where I can put the data and the information, as you can see here. So the space I would need to add, so from 2 of the extension to be able to use this option. So if I go back to my tool, if I click on save, it's actually normal that it's going to ask me that it can't save. That's why when I go to the history, the same thing, it can't display. So the solution is simple. Either I take a storage space or everything. Simply, I go back to Bolt and I tell him, listen, there's no need to save the image. Just save the data and the information in my calendar. So there, I will print to save the information, but not the photo. So I'm starting, you'll see that there. Of course, he's going to do what's necessary to update the coding level. And we're going to wait for the end from this programming to deploy and test the result. Here we go. So now I'm going to upload my image. Once I select the image, we're going to analyze it. And we're going to save it. For example, this one, we're going to treat it as if it were a dinner. As soon as I click, it's very good. So there, it has been saved successfully. I'm still going to check the database. So now when I go into the database, you'll see that I'm in the database. We're going to refresh it. We will see if there's a new line coming that will be added. Because all of this, in fact, is the test information that I did today. All of this is the information from the new miles that I threw into my database and normally here regarding this information. Now, if I go back there for the history, and there you go, that's it. Actually, the dinner that just got thrown in is this one. So there, it just threw all the information, of course, regarding this information. So he's calculating the total number of calories that have been scanned for that day. I can obviously ask him. So if I click here, he can pop up with the information. In any case, I can still do a ton of features. So what needs to be done is pretty much to redo the same manipulation on all the features. That means, for example, the level of the settings. I can ask him to add more information regarding, for example, the daily goal. For example, here I can input some information and I can then ask it to compare during the day or give me notifications on my phone how many calories I have left for the day. I can also add information about the person's gender, weight, and age. And like that, in fact, it will calculate in a more interesting way. Now, we're going to log in. When it comes to the connection, it's also very important for the profile to give him, for example, the possibility, to add, to change his password or to have other features. The same goes for the homepage. So it would be good for him to expand on the information from the last meal. It's very interesting to develop that. It's the same principle now that needs to be applied to all the features. Don't forget that you can go back to DeepSeek and also ask it to give you details for each feature separately. And at that moment, you will copy and paste it. That means, for example, here in the progress section, I can come here in the progress and ask DeepSeek about this progress feature. For example, here, if I'm going to copy it, we'll copy it here. So the progress section, and I can ask it here, for example, in the progress, I can ask it. And now we're going to paste our request. So I'm starting with the progress. He's going to try to give me all the descriptions and the details that I'm just going to copy onto Bolt. You'll see that, of course, this is a continuation from the first part. That's where he shouted at me. Actually, the specifications document, so I'm just taking a moment to think about it. In fact, this is exactly the result that I'm going to receive here. I'm going to copy and paste it onto Bolt, and you'll see that he's really going to give me a lot of details on a daily basis, by weekend, by month, the goal, the analysis, the trend. We're also going to have the visuals. That's important, Dimitri. But of course, we shouldn't copy all of that at once. We need to take it slow, step by step. Of course, we also need to select the information that interests us. We're not going to copy everything. For example, here, I can just take this. And going back to Bolt, I'm going to tell him, in everything, we're just going to put a progress. Can you develop the breasts? Develop this. And here, we're just going to copy and paste the information, well, the request, and I'll let it work, of course. The same principle, the same concept applies to all sections to ultimately have a functional application that works in a way or of good quality. And at that point, what's left? All that's left is to download all the code we have for this application, then host it and set up a marketing plan for the app's commercialization of this project. And all that, of course, we can call on DeepSeek to help us set up. The deployment means the actual online launch of this project, and especially the marketing part. That's where I'm just going to try to get clients and market this product online. In the section progress, so if I go here to see, well, there it is. It's very, very nice, actually. He just created a dashboard where I can go by day, by weekend, by month. He actually detected it. In fact, here's the number of calories in the database. He also showed how much protein there is, of course. And really, look at the quality of the results I'm seeing. It's really very, very, very interesting. I can, of course, do a lot more of that. And tell him, there you go, to gradually start working each time how much each function costs separately. So there, he gave me by week. I can look by day. I can look by month, of course. For here, we only have one single day in the system, which is normal. It gives the same results. But of course, we need to test it, and we also need to develop the information a bit. And also, in fact, we can call on DeepSeek. We can even print here, ask DeepSeek how I can further improve this interface. I will wait for DeepSeek's results as I can, of course, move on to the next steps regarding the visuals to improve it better in terms of metrics and calculation systems there. For what we call gamification, it's the scoring part that I can highlight to motivate people to work better. Actually, and here too, in terms of feedback, that's important as well. And here is some technical information on the database side to use. Really, it gives you everything, even regarding the export of that data to PDF. You really see the benefit of developing the app. There's nothing better than Bolt. Don't forget that there are always mistakes. You really have to be patient. And ask him to fix the errors and test and fix and test again. Then look at each function separately to develop it better so that it becomes a really more operational function, which simply gives the final result a functional application that delivers very good results. So Bolt today, it's very, very strong in connecting with Stripe. So they've really developed their system to be able to set up subscription systems and everything. So what I'm going to ask him is to create a registration system for me, and I want people to pay for their subscription with Stripe. So I'm launching this request, and you'll see he's going to start programming. He's going to integrate the Stripe system, and you'll see that the result is really amazing, where I can connect my Stripe account with this system, and that people simply, when they enter the application, I can give them either a single plan or multiple plans. They will choose their type of amendment. So I let the system run, and we will test the result together. So he just finished the integration of Stripe. You'll see that here he has developed all the features, the different free plans, and those that are paid. What's very interesting here is that he tells me in order to finish the implementation, I need to create a Stripe account and have the KPI, the code, to have the connection afterwards, we need to create the subscriptions for this product here on Stripe. And afterwards, we simply need to give him what we call the backend and then the endpoint. That's it. It's a very simple little setup to do from Stripe, and he can even help you step by step to do it. And it's really very, very interesting. Even there, regarding the connection, he shows you perfectly how you're going to do it. So I'm going to tell him to add a button here on the site and to give me a proposal for 3 subscription plans for my users. So he's going to add me. In fact, we just let this information run. So we've just generated it. I'm just going to click here to see the result. And here's the result. Really, it's impressive. So here he threw in the button, this score, and it's really great. I have the free pro and premium packs. And then, of course, to properly develop each button, I needed to go back to Bolt here, just ask him to start making the connection with Stripe, where I actually have to give him the API key. You understood that? For each feature here, we're going to ask him to do it. And so he's going to give me the result. He will make the connection from A to Z. The hardest part is the K-charge. It needs to be a good K-charge right from the start to build on solid foundations. And afterwards, each function will take care of developing itself to achieve a really complete result. So the next step was simply to host this application. So for hosting, I'm going to put here, up there, a video that I created that shows you from A to Z how to host any app created by Bolt. For any web application, I'm going to guide you step by step to do it. And for the marketing plan, if you want me to show you perfectly how to market, how to sell this application, how to get your first customers on this application, just write to me below in the comments marketing plan, and I will make a special video where I will accompany you step by step to market your project online. And of course, I'll show you what the basics of marketing are. And I'm giving you exactly a strategy to apply step by step. Thank you very much and see you soon. Thank you for watching this video. So if you have any questions, feel free to write to me in the comments. I'm doing my best to answer all your questions. And if you like the video and want to see the upcoming updates, don't hesitate to subscribe to my channel. Thank you very much and see you soon.